Hey guys, here's the video showing how to polish a set of FTE axles. These are nickel-coated axles, and on video they're probably not going to look an awful lot different when I'm done, but the test is going to be basically how well they spin. So I can just spin a wheel, and you can see it doesn't really spin that awful long. Maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and that's pretty normal. So, but hopefully by the time I get done, they will spin quite a while longer, and I'll be reducing the friction quite a bit. To do that, I'm using, like I said before, I'm going to be using this very worn out little polishing wheel just because it's a nice size to use on the axles. These polishing wheels originally would be about this size, so you can see these using one like this would be a little brutal on an axle. So I like to wear them out by polishing cars and whatnot. Restoring old Hot Wheels and whatnot. I can use them when they're new, but once they get worn out, they're really perfect for polishing axles. So now I will just cut to a video showing how to polish these wheels. Okay, the product that I will be using, as I stated before, is I will start off with Turtle Wax rubbing compound. This stuff is intended to just be used to rub on by hand, but it works really pretty well as a polishing compound. It's a little bit more coarse than polishing compound, so I just take just a little bit and dab it on the axles. You don't really want to get this in your wheels. You just want to keep it mainly on the axles, and that's really about all you need. And again, you don't really have to spin it up very fast, but you can just very lightly touch where the wheel will be running and go round and round the axle. You want to be careful to kind of go the opposite way that the wheel is spinning, so you don't get caught up and have it flip around and you can bend your axle and whatnot. Again, this is very light touch on the axle, and it doesn't take a lot of polish. And the one thing you really want to get, the head of the axle, that the nail head part, really done well. Nothing very exciting about all this. I hope this is staying in focus. It doesn't really take a lot to do this, but probably just with that, it'll probably spin a fair amount better, just with that little bit. Yeah, you can see it's already spinning probably twice as long as it was originally. Okay, I've gone through and cleaned, or I've gone through and used the rubbing compound on these axles, and they seem to be spinning really pretty nice. You can see the wheels are running pretty true. They feel really nice and smooth. You could probably be done right there if you want. I could probably spend a little bit more time polishing with the rubbing compound. But for these, I'm going to try something. I don't usually use a polishing compound, but I wanted to give it a shot on these axles. And what I'm going to be using is Turtle Wax brand polishing compound. And this is a little bit, it's a finer grit or finer grain than the rubbing compound. I've used it before and it does work well. But you can see this is just, it's a little bit more like a paste. And again, you don't need very much. It's just a tiny little bit you're going to apply to the axle. and then just polish just like before. I mean, you probably could apply this to the actual polishing wheel if you wanted to. And but yeah, it's very simple. You know, you're just going to, again, very low speed, go round and round, turning the axle and polishing, spending a fair amount of time getting it, because when you first start to polish, you'll notice that it'll go, you know, that the metal will kind of go black, and then as you polish, it will basically just go to mirror finish. So you just want to spend a little time getting it just really, really nicely polished up. It's really hard to show because the things you're doing is, you know, they are so small. I generally work with wearing magnifiers when I'm doing this stuff, but right now I'm kind of looking through my camera, so it's a little... Okay, so here are the finished axles. I got both of them all polished up and spinning very nice. Big thing that you'll notice, or one of the things you'll notice when you polish up your wheels, is that they go almost dead quiet. There's no noise at all, very little vibration, and the same holds true when you get a car that's running really true and the wheels are done up really well. You'll notice that they are almost totally quiet on the track. So that's something to look for when you are polishing your wheels up. You want them to just run super smooth and super quiet. Now what's going to happen next is I'm going to be mounting these wheels in this frame or in this chassis off of this heavy Chevy. Now I need to clean it all up and whatnot, but you can see the tabs right here where the axles used to be held in place. I just took the drum sander on a Dremel and just ground that down. I ground it off a little bit to get the old wheels out, and then I ground it down a little further so these axles will sit in there. Now these axles are actually kind of long for this chassis, or you know, they're kind of wide for this chassis, as you can see. I'm not too worried about that because since I'm running negative camber, the wheels should be running out on the ends of the axles, so it should be okay. But it's going to be very hard to see on here. But I did grind down the little tabs down below the axle, down below the height of the axle, because what I'll do is I'm going to drill a hole in the chassis right about there to take, you know, just right in behind the front axle and right in front of the rear axle, to take like a 256 button head screw to hold the axle in place. That's going to be a little fiddly and a little tricky to do. I'm probably not going to be able to catch it on video, but I will show you the results in like the next series where I'm actually kind of putting the car together. Right now this chassis needs to be cleaned up, and I'll drill those holes. I probably won't do that tonight. I'll probably get back to that in the next series of videos and show you how I'm putting negative camber in the car and how I'm mounting the body and whatnot. So that's it for tonight. That's it for this video on polishing wheels. I hope this helps. It's a known thing that polishing these axles definitely increases your speed. And this is all about just taking it that one step further and getting your cars to perform just as well as they possibly can. So, as I said, I hope this helps, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.